Hey there, this is Dario Thomas. Welcome to the Spiritology Television Network. Um, Today I'm going to talk to you briefly about symbology, symbolism. Uh, Oftentimes, when we think of symbolism, we think of certain things or whatever symbols that are closest to us that kind of reflects whatever lifestyle we tend to lead, like say for instance, I was raised in a religious environment, so naturally a symbol for me would be the crucifix, the cross, represents, which represents the crucifixion of the former old man in me, and which ushers in the resurrection or a new man within me. Um, However, that's not what I'm going to necessarily talk about. Um, we all have our own personal symbols that we use as references to govern our lives with. And then when you get down to the basics of what a symbol really is, it's basically an idea, uh, a thought inside your mind that you have, formed a belief around, and you use that to tell you what to do or how to behave in real life. Symbols are implanted in our minds, ideas, and they govern our lives. Um, Almost like computer programming, eh? Nevertheless, um, oftentimes we have erroneous symbols in our heads. And these erroneous symbols or erroneous ideas, they come across as anxieties and irrational fears. So those are the ones that I want to talk about, kind of, sort of, not necessarily talk about, but um, I want to talk about how to uncondition the mind and, gradually siphon the power out of these bad negative symbols, um, and restore some light, some positivity in your life, and to whereas you can behave from a greater level of confidence, and as opposed to acting out anxiety. However, here's a symbol, and if you can see that, what that is it's a trash can, and you can buy something like this at Hobby Lobby, or maybe even Walmart, and it's a symbol. And what is a trash can for? Is to throw things away that you don't need, you don't want anymore. That's no use to you. And what could be more better to throw away than any fears or anxieties that you may have? So what I did here is I wrote on a piece of paper, and I'm not gonna necessarily show it to you. It's kind of personal, but I wrote on this piece of paper, you know, a perpetual symbol of trouble that I have in my mind. Something that bugs me on a consistent basis, and I've decided that I don't want it anymore. So I wrote it down on this piece of paper, and I fold it up. And what I do next is I take the trash can and I throw the trouble away. I throw it in the trash can. Now, remember, this is symbolism. Uh, I threw it in the trash can, representing the discarded troubles and the discarded anxieties, and I put the lid on it. So now I've officially thrown away my trouble, and I put this trash can away somewhere where I can see it. Now, here's the thing: that trouble, that symbol in your head, it might be stubborn at first. It'll come back and try to vex you every now and then. But as long as you got this symbol in a good place where you can see it, you can just remind yourself. The symbol will remind you, hey, you threw that away. And as you do this repetitively, something interesting is going to happen. At some point, you're going to remind yourself, hey, I threw that trouble away. And a slight feeling of joy is going to start to well up from within. A little happiness is you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I threw that away. And as you continue to do that, that slight feeling of happiness, it'll begin to grow. And you just keep continuing to work with it and work with it. Keep reminding yourself when you see your symbol that you threw that trouble away. And eventually you will have reconditioned your mind to a greater level of happiness and positivity and decondition it to a certain amount of anxiety and fear. And that's the power of symbolism. And you should try it. I mean, it works for me. And our minds are kind of like similar mechanisms that work the same. Our minds do work the same. They're all have the same mechanism to where they are programmed in the same way. So you can decondition your mind and watch your troubles gradually fade away by using the power of symbolism. Uh, so try it. And thank you for listening.